Okay, good morning, you guys. How are you guys feeling today? A little tired. Okay. Well, we're going to actually turn our brains on this morning because we're going to do a social studies lesson today over Anne Frank. Does anyone know who Anne Frank is? Has anyone heard that name before? Yeah? Okay. Okay, before you guys tell me anything about her, I want you guys to look in the center of your table, and there should be a chart that looks like this with 3 columns, and it says KWL. Okay, does everyone find it? Okay. So before you tell me anything, I want you guys to look at the K chart, and I want you to write everything that you think you know about Anne Frank. And after you finish that, then you can go to the W section and write a couple of things that you want to know. So at the end of this lesson, things that you want to have learned. And don't worry about it being 100% correct because we're all going to go over it in a minute. Now that it's been about 5 minutes, does anyone want to tell me some of the things that they put that they think they know about Anne Frank? Okay, alright, she was Jewish. Okay, anything else? Okay, yeah, she died. Does anyone know where she died or when she died? Yeah. Okay, so she died in World War II. Okay, anything else? Okay, she was hiding from bad people, yes. I'm gonna put in hiding. Okay. Anything else? Does anyone remember something that's really, really, really famous about her? It's like a book, something like a book. Yeah. Okay. So it was like a journal. It was a diary. Okay. So that's what actually made her famous. Was she had a diary the whole time that she was in hiding, and she basically wrote down her experiences. So we kind of get to really know what she was going through because we have all of her personal thoughts in writing. Okay, what about things that you guys want to know? Some of the things that you want to get out of this lesson. Okay, how she died. Okay. So we know she died in World War II, but we don't exactly know how yet or why. So we can get to that later in the lesson. How old was she when she died? Okay. Okay. Why did she become famous? Okay, so we kind of already went over that a little bit. A lot of it was her diary, and she did die in the Holocaust, but so did like millions of people. So that wasn't what was really super special about her. What was really kind of made her stand out from the rest of the people is we had all of her experiences like documented from her personal experience, so we know exactly what she went through, which is really cool because it was so long ago and none of us know what it was like. So it's really cool to see firsthand from someone that did live like that. Okay, you guys, now I want you guys to put away your KWL charts for now. We're going to get back to it in a minute. But I want you guys to direct your attention up to the board, and we're going to go over a PowerPoint all about Anne Frank. And this is probably going to answer a lot of your guys' questions, so I want voice levels at 0, and I want you guys paying attention. All right, you guys, so the first thing that we're going to look at is who was she? So obviously, yes, we know she was Anne Frank, but to be a little bit more specific, she was a young teenage girl living in Europe. And does anyone know how old she was around this time? I know I said young teen, but does anyone know kinda how old? Okay, yeah, so she was actually 13 when she went into hiding. And she was actually 13 also. On her 13th birthday is when she got her diary. Um, And so she actually celebrated 2 whole birthdays in this annex. And if you think about it, that is 2 whole years that they spent there, which is just crazy because, they had to be quiet the whole time. They're hiding. They're hiding from very bad people. So they had to be quiet the whole time. The floors were creaky, so they couldn't even walk around the house too much, never got to leave the house. That's a very hard way to live. Okay, so for this next one, we're going to be talking about what she did. So, what was the most, major event that happened in her life. And pretty much what she's most famous for is, obviously she fought for survival during World War II by hiding in the annex with her and her family. And the annex was actually the attic above her father's office building, and that's just what they called it. So yeah, her and her family hid from the bad people, which I know one of you guys had mentioned earlier. And the bad people, does anyone know who the bad people are? Yeah, soldiers. Yeah, so the soldiers were German soldiers, and they were called Nazis. And these were the people that wanted to capture Jewish people. Okay, for this next one, we're going to be talking about where all of these major events in Anne Frank's life occurred. So, we know that she hid in the annex. This annex was located in Amsterdam, which is the capital of the Netherlands. And so she stayed here for about 2 years until the Nazis did catch her and her family, and they sent all of them to concentration camps. And this is where Anne and her sister Margot actually died. They were sent to a concentration camp called Bergen-Belsen. So, does anyone know what concentration camps are? Yeah, are those good or bad? Bad, right? We do not want to go there. Those are very, very scary places. And those were essentially, basically giant killing farms for Jewish people. And this is where Anne did eventually die from typhus, which is a disease that floats around when, the place is very dirty and not clean, which these concentration camps were full of dead people. So obviously, this is a very dirty place, and a lot of diseases are floating around there. All right, for this next one, we're going to be talking about when all of these major events happened in her life. So we know that she was born way back in 1929, and she died in 1945. And as we already know, as we talked about, she was in hiding for about 2 years before they caught her. So all of the major events that she's famous for really happened between about 1943 and 1945 when she passed. And what's actually really sad about this is the war, World War II, actually ended in 1945. So she just barely almost made it, but unfortunately she did not survive. Okay, and the last thing that we're going to go over in this PowerPoint is why did all of this happen? So, yeah, she was persecuted because she was Jewish. What does persecuted mean? Yeah, so, treated badly. You were treated unfairly. So, yeah, she was treated very unfairly because of her religion, because she was Jewish. And all of this happened because basically, the Jewish people were being blamed for all of Germany's problems by their leader. And does anyone know who their leader was during this time? He's pretty famous. Yes, his name is Hitler, Adolf Hitler. So he was the one that kind of led this whole organization and was kind of the reason for all of this that was happening. Okay, so now that we finished that whole PowerPoint, I want you guys to take back out your KWL charts. And I want you guys to take a look at the L section. So your L section should be blank right now. And I want you guys to quietly raise your hands and tell me a couple things that you learned from this PowerPoint. Actually, you know what? Let's take a look at the W's because this is what you guys wanted to know, so we can see if we did get those answers. So, how she died. So, does anyone remember how she died? Yeah, she died in a concentration camp. And that's where she died. Does anyone remember how? Yeah, it was a disease. So she died of typhus fever. Yeah, which is a disease. And diseases were really, really common in these concentration camps. Do you remember why? Yeah, because they were really, really dirty, all right? So I'm going to write disease, dirty camps. Yeah, so, those places are very, very dirty, so a lot of diseases are kind of floating around there at all times. And you guys wanted to know how old she was when she died. Okay, does anyone, so we know that she went into hiding at 13 years old, right? Okay, and does anyone remember how long that she was in hiding? Yeah, 2 years, right? So that would make her 15 when she died, which is very, very young. And we knew that she was just barely close to surviving because the war did end only like a few months after. Okay, does anyone remember anything else? Okay, yeah, she was Jewish, she hid in the attic. Okay, well, I hope you guys learned a lot, or at least a little bit more than you did know about Anne Frank. And you guys did really, really well today following all my directions and really listening and staying on task. And I really like how you guys kind of, worked together a little bit when we were talking about this KWL chart. I saw you guys kind of talking to your peers to see what they knew, see what they learned and all of that stuff. So that was really good, you guys. You did really well. So thank you for working so hard, and I'll see you tomorrow.